Okay, what is it looking at? Okay, it's looking at me. Great. Great, great, great. Okay. I don't know. Anyway, so I am working on a pattern. I have the large squares that I'm going to create the snowballs with. So that's just going to take 4 smaller squares and put them in the corners, and then sew right sides together. Right sides together. Let's just do one at a time. Okay. Oh, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to, excuse me. I'm going to, what do you call that? I'm having a brain freeze here. But I'm just going to stitch all of them like at a time. So there's 25 of the large blocks that I have to make 25 snowballs. So I'm just going to do each corner, each snowball, one after the other. So, and I'm not going to pin because I have this diagonal tape on my sewing machine here, so I'm going to use that as my line as opposed to drawing on or my guide, as opposed to drawing on a line for each of these, because that would take forever. So hopefully I don't regret that decision, but that is the decision that I am making. So I'm just going to sew these one after the other here. And my camera is rotating, so if you happen to join the live and you hear me but you don't see me, just wait a few seconds and the camera will cycle back around, and then you can see me in all my glory with all my wild hair. I don't know what any of this stuff means. So there's this chat rate. What does that mean? Chat rate of the stream is the amount of recently available time. Okay, so the audio stream's current bit rate is lower than the recommended bit rate. Open widget. Suggestion. The audio stream's current bit rate. Okay, thank you for that suggestion. Stream settings. Analytics. Okay, so yes, I am just going to power through here and do as many of these as I can before I need to go to bed, which I probably should be doing now anyway. But I'm pumped about using this live stream, so let's see how it works. And I had all this fabric cut. I am someone that I like to have a lot of open projects at a time. And then also because I am pattern testing, there is a deadline. So I need to get this quilt top completed by July 14th, I believe. And then I know that there's other things that I want to be working on. So I just want to get this completed and get the feedback over to Heather, so she can go on and release her pattern, and then I can go on to my next activity. So I'm using variations of pink for this particular quilt, so it's going to end up being pretty much a pink and white quilt. I don't have any idea what I'm going to do with it because these are not colors that I would necessarily pick for myself. But maybe there's some little girl around that I can give this to. I don't know. I don't have any young cousins who would want it, and I don't have any kids of my own. And my friend's kids are, oh, I know, I have one little girl I can give it to, so. Yes, so I think I may or may not have one viewer. If I do, hello. And if you could, let me know where you're watching from. I'm testing out this live stream, so I'm trying to figure out how to both do my sewing and see what maybe streaming across my laptop in terms of any comments that people may be making or questions. So as I'm, newly kind of developing my channel, even though it's been around for some time, I have dedicated focus on it now because I am really focused on creating content that is really for all levels of quilters, but primarily for new quilters. I want to implement or include some live sessions in, so I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to do that. I don't necessarily know that I would want to do like a question and answer session. I've seen those types of lives. Maybe it would probably be good to do a live session as a quilt along. So I do have the, if you are following the channel, there's the Around the Block quilt series that I'm working on now. And this is where every week I'm introducing or releasing a new video that shows a new quilt block, and in the end we're going to sew it together as a quilt. So that would be a good opportunity to do a live, so something where we can sew together. We're at week number 5 for that, and also I'm looking at accelerating that just because, as I said, I don't like having a lot of projects going on at one time, and I like to just keep making things, so I want to get that done as quickly as possible so we can move on to the next activity. So I do see the numbers are coming in and out, so I think people are finding me here and then probably deciding that they would rather go to bed, which I don't blame you. I am in the Cleveland area where it is about 10:30, so I'm about 30 minutes past what I should be using as my bedtime. So I'm just going through now. I'm working on the Lottie Dottie pattern that is made by Heather Davis. This is a pattern that I am currently testing. And so right now I'm working on the larger snowballs that you see here. For the throw size quilt, there are 25 of them. And so I'm just going through now. I am doing the first corner for each of the 25. So we'll see how far I get this evening. I have actually never made a snowball block before, so this is new for me. This is the snowball block is where you take a square and then you essentially corner it off so it doesn't become a perfect circle, more like I guess it would be an octagon. Is that the right geometric shape? So it looks kind of rounded, but not actually rounded, and they call that block a snowball. Okay, so this is interesting. It's interesting to see the statistics that are coming across the screen. So far, people are hanging in there for about a minute. So I guess just long enough to see what is this lady talking about, and is it something that I want to hear. And there may be some people on now. If there are, I really would like to know where you're watching from. I am in Aurora, Ohio, which is just outside of Cleveland, Ohio. We're having a very rainy night. In fact, we just had some tornado warning, so my studio's in the basement, so I'm safe and can stay up and sew all night long, even though the winds are whipping outside. Okay, so I think this is the last one I'm going to sew right now, and then I'll show you what I have. Okay, so I'm just chain piecing the blocks together. So right now you can see I have the first large square in this quilt block, and I've sewn on the corner. And if you haven't ever seen a snowball before, I'll fold this up here in the edge here so you can see that what's going to happen is I'm just kind of like trimming off the corners of this larger square, and then it's going to give it a snowball or slightly rounded effect. So you just take a smaller square and then you sew it onto the corner, and you do a diagonal, so sewing across the smaller block. And then I'm going to trim that block off using a 1/4 inch seam. So maybe I'll just do this one and show you what that will look like, and then I am going to be done for the evening, and I have to figure out how I want to implement the live videos here on this channel now that I have a camera set up that will allow it. And I'll need to go maybe read some of this information here on YouTube to figure out how best to do it, but it doesn't look too hard. Okay, so let me do this and I can show you what it looks like, and then I'll let you all go. So ideally you would you would take the smaller square and you want to line it up right sides together. So right sides together here in the corner, and then you would draw a line across the diagonal of your smaller square. I'm not going to do that because I do have the diagonal tape on my sewing machine, so that will allow me to sew this straight line without having to take the time to draw each line. Should I have my iron on? I don't. Okay, so this is the 4th one here. I am just gonna line that up here. So you can see with this square, I now have 4 smaller squares sewn in each of the corners. And again, you would take your ruler and then cut a 1/4 inch away from your stitch line, and then fold that material back and press it. But I don't actually have my iron on, so I'm not going to do that this evening. So you have to come back for another session to see how this quilt is progressing. So again, it is the Lottie Dottie quilt pattern that I'm testing for Heather Davis. And then for myself here, I'm just kind of trying to figure out how the live sessions work. So hopefully you'll come back and we'll get to interact. Oh, look at that. There's Scotty. Hi, Scotty from West Tennessee. So I'm sewing a pattern called Lottie Dottie. It's a pattern. It's not yet released. It's made by Heather Davis. So I'm one of her pattern testers. So I've just started the testing tonight. I have all of the material cut. There's a lot of cutting required for this pattern, and even some small pieces. I won't give you the size of those pieces because the designer has asked that we not share that information, because then obviously that's something that will be included in the pattern that should be released, I imagine, sometime in July, because she wants all the testers to be done by July 14th. So that's what I'm working on here. Just starting the first of the large snowballs. So if you can see here, the pattern, it's a series of snowballs, both large and small. And I am using kind of like all pink, so, or variations of pink. I have polka dots. I have some pinks with other colors in them. But I'm using up scrap materials to put this together, and I'm working on the throw size quilt. So, Scotty, come back and we'll see what it looks like. So how do you get involved with being a pattern tester? It really varies depending on the pattern designer. Heather Davis put out a request on Instagram the other day, so I responded. She has an application. When she's ready to have people test a pattern, she has an application that you would fill out. And so I filled out the application, and, you know, she selected me. I actually did the very same thing for my pattern, Starry Duo, that was released last month. I have a very similar application. It's really just to gather information about the potential testers, get some of their contact information, because throughout the testing process, the designer will want to be in contact with you to see how the testing is going, and also to get some feedback on any potential changes that would need to be made to the pattern before it's released. So I will post a note in this. I'll post a comment so you can follow Heather on Instagram if you're on Instagram, and then hopefully you can follow me as well. I have a few patterns that I am working on that I'll be looking for testers on here in the very near future. So if you're interested, maybe that's something you can do with me as well. So, okay, I'm going to go. Thank you for watching, and thank you for the comment. This is my, I guess, second live. I have one where I did earlier today, really just trying to figure this out. So I think I've got it down. I just need to figure out the cadence, like when is the best time to go live and what topics would be of interest to the community that we're growing here. So have a good evening. Okay, so you end the stream here. It's done, right?